US officials have confirmed that 2,000 American soldiers have now been killed in the conflict in Afghanistan. Yesterday, a US soldier and a foreign contractor were killed in Wardak province in eastern Afghanistan alongside 3 Afghan soldiers. It's unclear exactly what took place and whether they were attacked or whether it was another insider or green on blue incident. We'll be speaking in a minute to Zoe Conway, who's in Washington. First, let's get the very latest from Quentin Somerville, who joins us from Kabul. And Quentin, some confusion over what happened. What is the latest information you're getting?
And what we do know is that there was an Afghan army checkpoint and a temporary ISAF, international mission checkpoint, staffed by American soldiers in close proximity to each other. There was what the international mission says is a short conversation took place between both these sides. Then there was a firefight. It's not clear what started that firefight, but what is clear is at the end of it, 3 Afghan National Army soldiers were left dead and 2 Americans, including an American soldier who is in fact the 2,000th American soldier to die here in Afghanistan. The international mission initially thought that this was a green on blue attack, one of those insider attacks that we've been talking about a lot, where Afghans turn their guns on the foreign forces they're serving alongside. They've partially retracted that statement. That now doesn't seem to have been the case, but they are saying that there may have been some insurgent activity involved in this incident which resulted in those 5 deaths.
And this comes, Quentin, doesn't it, just a couple of days after NATO forces resumed those operations on the ground with Afghan forces having been halted temporarily.
He didn't resume them all. What they started doing was they started rushing through the approval for some of those joint patrols. We don't even know, Tim, if this was in fact a joint patrol, but you're absolutely right. That was a very important moment in this war where the international mission said we have to suspend joint patrols with our Afghan partners because of the dramatic rise in these green on blue attacks. And all across this country, at bases large and small, coalition forces have been reviewing not just their proximity, but the kind of interaction that they have with their Afghan partners. And why is that interaction important? Well, because at the end of 2014, it'll be the Afghans that will be left to do the fighting, and the remaining foreign soldiers here are supposed to be training them up and getting them ready for that fight when they stand alone to face the Taliban.
All right, Quentin, with the latest in Kabul, thank you very much. Let's turn to Washington now and get more on the fact that the 2,000th American soldier has been killed. Zoe Conway joins us from there now. Another grim milestone for America. How has it been received there?
Well, of course, it is symbolically significant that it's now 2,000 deaths. But I don't think we should assume that it's going to get a huge amount of press coverage here. I've just been watching the start of the talk shows, and that's the opportunity for journalists and politicians to talk about the big stories of the day, and it certainly isn't dominating their discussions so far. And I think that's really because there's a pervading sense of hopelessness here in America that the word victory could ever be attached to this war. And so the war in Afghanistan is largely being ignored by the press and by the people here.
Not only 2,000 soldiers, but 3,900 days, another milestone for this war as well. The fact that President Obama has announced when American forces are coming back, how much of a boost has that given him, do you think, in terms of the election in November?
This is very much a secondary issue here in America. It's important to remember that Mitt Romney and President Obama are really in lockstep on this issue. Their policies are to withdraw all the troops by the end of 2014. So President Obama is not really under a huge amount of political pressure when it comes to Afghanistan, partly for that reason, but also despite the fact that it's a very unpopular war, a solid majority want the troops out. There aren't peace marches here. It's not like Vietnam. He's not under a huge amount of pressure to withdraw sooner. The sense really here in America is that people are ignoring it, but they certainly want those troops out.
And for those who come back, many with PTSD, is that something that is accepted by American society? Is it embraced? Is it talked about?
Well, it's interesting because there's been a lot of coverage recently about the suicide rate amongst returning soldiers, and that now is getting a lot of attention here in America, is the mental health of the returning soldiers. It went up to 1 suicide a day this summer, and so the administration is now under pressure to show that it's really doing all it can to look after those soldiers. But as I say, when it comes to this election campaign, he's really not under that much political pressure on this issue.
Zoe Conway in Washington. Thank you. And Quentin, some